What really happens the moment we take our final breath? Have you ever wondered where the soul goes, or what it does, in those mysterious hours immediately after death? Most of us are told that death is the end of the story, that when the body stops, everything else simply shuts down. But across countless cultures, religions, and spiritual traditions, there's an unshakable belief that the soul doesn't just vanish. Instead, it begins a profound journey. And for 3 days after death, something extraordinary happens, something hidden from most people, yet quietly acknowledged in ancient texts, rituals, and even the experiences of those who've come close to dying and returned to tell the tale. Imagine this. Your eyes close, your body lies still, but you are still fully aware. You see the people around you. You hear their cries, and you even feel their grief, but you're no longer limited by flesh and bone. Countless near-death experiences describe a sudden separation, where the soul gently lifts from the body, hovering, watching, still present, but unable to communicate. It is in this mysterious state that the soul spends its first 3 days, moving through a journey that is as emotional as it is spiritual. But what exactly happens during this time, and why do so many traditions agree on the sacred number 3? That's the hidden truth we're about to uncover. Think about the significance of 3 days. In Christianity, it is the time between crucifixion and resurrection. In Hinduism, certain death rituals must be completed within 3 days to guide the spirit forward. In Buddhism, it is believed the consciousness lingers before beginning its transition. Even in ancient Egypt, texts describe the soul wandering for a short period before crossing into the afterlife. How is it possible that across thousands of years and completely different cultures, this exact window of 3 days keeps appearing? Could it be more than coincidence? Science, too, is beginning to scratch the surface. Researchers studying people who have been declared clinically dead for minutes or even hours are uncovering strikingly similar reports, visions of light, encounters with loved ones, and an overwhelming sense of peace. While science calls these hallucinations, spiritual teachings suggest they are glimpses into what the soul truly experiences as it detaches from the body. And these 3 days after death might hold the answers not only to what lies beyond, but also to the deepest mysteries of our existence. In this video, we're going to reveal what your soul actually does during those first 3 days after death. From lingering close to your loved ones, to revisiting your life, to preparing for the great transition, this hidden journey may change the way you think about both life and death. Stay with me until the very end, because what you'll discover here isn't just spiritual theory. It's knowledge that could transform the way you live your life right now. So, are you ready to uncover the hidden truth of the soul's 3-day journey after death? Let's begin. The very first seconds after death are unlike anything we can imagine. When the heart stops beating and the body grows still, something remarkable begins to unfold. Spiritual traditions across the world teach that in this moment, the soul gently detaches from the physical body. It is not violent, nor abrupt. Instead, it feels like slipping out of a heavy garment you no longer need. The soul rises, often confused at first, unsure if it has truly left the body. Many describe this initial stage as floating, light, and free from pain. The limitations of the flesh disappear, replaced by an awareness that is sharper, clearer, and unburdened. Countless near-death experiences support this moment of separation. People who were clinically dead for minutes have reported hovering above hospital beds, watching doctors work frantically on their bodies, and even hearing conversations that were later verified as accurate. These testimonies share a striking similarity, a sense of being alive and conscious, even though the body had ceased functioning. Some describe seeing their own faces, pale and lifeless, while realizing that they are not that body anymore. It's as if life continues, but in a new form, just slightly removed from the physical world. Ancient beliefs echo these same experiences. In Hindu teachings, the soul, or Atman, is said to leave the body like a bird flying from its cage, pausing just above before beginning its journey. Tibetan Buddhism describes the soul entering the bardo, a state of consciousness that exists between death and rebirth, where the person remains aware of both the earthly world and the spiritual realm. Ancient Egyptians believed the Ka, or life force, separated and hovered near the body, preparing for its next stage. Even Christianity speaks of the soul leaving the earthly vessel, awaiting its passage into eternity. Despite differences in language and culture, the message is the same. Death is not the end, but a transition. But what is it like for the soul to witness this separation? Many spiritual accounts suggest the soul often lingers nearby, watching loved ones react, observing its surroundings with deep curiosity. Some souls, especially those who died suddenly, may not even realize at first that they have passed. This confusion is why so many ghost stories and cultural beliefs describe spirits that linger, caught between worlds, searching for closure. Science, while hesitant to embrace the idea of the soul, has acknowledged something mysterious in these early moments after death. Studies have shown that brain activity continues briefly after the heart stops, suggesting that consciousness may not vanish instantly. Could this be the biological echo of the soul's separation? Or is it a glimpse into something far greater, evidence that awareness continues beyond the body? The moment of separation is both mysterious and awe-inspiring. It is the threshold where life in the physical realm ends, and the soul begins its journey into the unknown. For 3 days, this journey will unfold in ways both beautiful and profound. But it all begins here, with the soul's first breath of freedom, as it steps beyond the boundaries of the body and into the eternal. The very first day after death is perhaps the most emotional part of the soul's journey. Once the initial shock of separation passes, the soul often feels a strong pull back to the people and places it loved most. Even though it no longer has a body, its natural attachment to family and home remains powerful. The bonds of love don't instantly disappear. In fact, they may feel even stronger. Many spiritual traditions suggest that during this first day, the soul lingers close to its loved ones, watching over them, sensing their grief, and trying in its own way to comfort them. Imagine the scene. Family members gathered around, crying, praying, or simply sitting in silence. While the living may feel only sorrow, the soul is still present in the room. It observes the tears, hears the words spoken, and often wishes it could reach out and say, "I'm still here, don't cry for me." This is why so many people report feeling a strange presence in the hours after a loved one dies. They describe a sudden warmth, a gentle breeze in a still room, or the sense of someone standing beside them. These experiences are not mere imagination. They are echoes of the soul's lingering presence. Ancient beliefs confirm this closeness. In Hindu traditions, it is said that the spirit remains in the house for the first day, moving among relatives, observing the rituals, and trying to communicate through dreams or subtle signs. Buddhism teaches that the consciousness is still deeply connected to its previous life and often returns to familiar places, especially to family. In Christianity, stories of apparitions or spiritual comfort soon after death are viewed as the soul's way of saying farewell before moving on. Near-death experiences also reflect this attachment. People who were revived after being clinically dead often report a desire to return to their loved ones, even after glimpsing the light or a higher realm. They describe feeling pulled by the love of family, as if that bond is a tether that connects them to the earthly world. In many cases, they choose to come back because of this very connection, proving just how powerful love remains, even beyond death. For those left behind, this presence can bring both comfort and sorrow. Some feel watched over, as though their loved one is silently reassuring them. Others feel the heaviness of grief, sensing the soul but longing for physical touch. Rituals like lighting candles, saying prayers, or speaking to the deceased are common across cultures during this first day. These practices are not just for the living. They are believed to help the soul as well, acknowledging its presence and offering peace. The first day after death, then, is not about departure but about lingering. It is a time when the soul stays close, ensuring that the bonds of love are not broken by death's silence. This is why so many people, even skeptics, recall strange experiences in the hours following a loved one's passing. The truth is simple yet profound. Love is the bridge that connects the worlds, and on this first day, the soul uses that bridge to remain near the ones it cherishes most. On the second day after death, the soul begins to drift away from the immediate pull of loved ones and enters a more reflective stage. If the first day is about emotional bonds, The second day is about memory and meaning. Many spiritual traditions describe this as a time when the soul looks back at its earthly journey, revisiting the key moments that shaped its existence. It is as though life plays back, not in a rushed flash, but in a gentle unfolding, allowing the soul to truly see and understand the path it walked. This review is not always linear. The soul doesn't simply replay life like a movie. Instead, it revisits moments of great significance. The first steps as a child, the laughter of youth, the embraces of family, the triumphs and failures, the words spoken in anger, and the acts of kindness that may have seemed small at the time but carried great weight. Every smile given, every tear caused, these moments rise to the surface. But unlike the way we remember life while living, the soul sees it with complete clarity. There is no judgment here, only awareness. The soul understands the ripple effects of its actions, how one choice touched many lives, and how even small gestures created waves of meaning. As part of this reflection, the soul often revisits places tied to strong emotions. It may drift back to the childhood home, where the first memories of love and safety were formed. It might wander through schools, parks, or even workplaces where important experiences occurred. Favorite spots, like a quiet riverbank, a garden, or a place of worship, become beacons that call the soul to relive what was cherished. This wandering is not random. It is guided by the heart's deepest attachments. The soul is not bound by time or space, so it can move freely, touching each memory and place with ease. Ancient teachings describe this stage in fascinating ways. The Tibetan Book of the Dead speaks of the soul encountering visions that reflect its own life and karma, urging it to recognize these experiences as projections of its journey. Hindu beliefs mention the soul reviewing its past actions as part of its karmic cycle, understanding what lessons were learned and what remains unresolved. Even in Christian mysticism, there are references to the soul being shown its life with absolute clarity, sometimes called the life review, where nothing can be hidden, not even the intentions behind actions. Near-death experiences often echo this idea. Many who returned from clinical death describe being surrounded by a panoramic replay of their lives, where every detail is remembered, not from their perspective alone, but from the perspective of others who were affected. They describe feeling the emotions of those they interacted with, gaining a deeper sense of empathy and truth. It is not a punishment, but a revelation, a chance to truly see the interconnectedness of life. The second day, then, is a sacred journey of remembrance. It is the soul's opportunity to honor its experiences, to understand the purpose behind its struggles and joys, and to prepare itself for the greater transition to come. By revisiting life, the soul gathers wisdom for the next stage of its eternal path. By the third day, the soul begins to sense a powerful shift. The initial shock of separation has passed, the emotional pull of loved ones has softened, and the reflections of life have been honored. Now comes the moment of realization. The soul cannot remain in this in-between state forever. A gentle yet undeniable call begins to draw it forward, urging it to move on to the next stage of existence. This is the day of transition, the turning point where the soul prepares to cross from the earthly world into the spiritual realms. Many spiritual traditions speak of guides or ancestors appearing at this stage. The soul is rarely left alone. Instead, it is often met by familiar faces, those who passed before, perhaps a parent, grandparent, or even a distant ancestor whose presence feels instantly comforting. These guides help ease the fear of the unknown, reassuring the soul that it is safe and that this journey is part of a greater design. Some describe this as a reunion filled with love, where the soul feels embraced, welcomed, and reminded that it has never truly been alone. In other traditions, spiritual beings, sometimes described as angels, luminous guides, or protectors, emerge to escort the soul. Their presence is said to radiate peace and understanding, helping the soul let go of the final threads binding it to the material world. Near-death experiences often echo this imagery. People speak of being met by beings of light or loved ones who gently told them it was not yet their time. For those who do not return, this encounter becomes the doorway into the next realm. The number 3 holds deep significance across cultures when it comes to death and rebirth. In Christianity, the resurrection of Christ on the third day symbolizes triumph over death and the soul's passage into eternal life. In Hinduism, the soul is believed to remain close to the earth for 3 days before beginning its journey toward the afterlife, which is why rituals such as offerings and prayers are performed within this sacred window. In Buddhism, 3 days is often seen as the period where consciousness lingers before it fully moves into the bardo state, the in-between realm that precedes rebirth. Even in ancient Egypt, texts describe the soul's wandering for a short time, often 3 days, before judgment and transition. The recurrence of this number across time and tradition cannot be ignored. On the third day, funerals, memorials, and rituals are often held, not by accident, but by ancient design. These ceremonies are not only for the living, they serve the soul as well. Prayers, chants, offerings, and acts of remembrance are believed to guide the spirit, giving it strength and clarity as it steps into its new journey. The sacredness of the third day lies in its role as both farewell and beginning, an ending to one chapter and the start of another. For the soul, this is the day of acceptance. The earthly ties loosen, the pull of love shifts from attachment to blessing, and the path forward becomes illuminated. It is a moment of peace, of courage, and of destiny. The soul knows it is time to move on, and with the guidance of loved ones and spiritual guardians, it takes its first steps into eternity. As we arrive at the final part of this journey, a deeper pattern begins to reveal itself. Why 3 days? Why does this sacred number echo across cultures, religions, and ancient wisdoms, all pointing to the same mysterious window of time? The answer may hold the hidden truth about the soul's transition. In Christianity, the 3 days between Christ's crucifixion and resurrection symbolize the victory of life over death, showing that the soul does not vanish but transforms. In Hinduism, the soul is believed to hover close to the earthly realm for 3 days before moving forward, which is why families perform vital rituals like prayers, offerings, and fire ceremonies during this time. In Buddhism, the consciousness lingers, neither here nor there, for roughly 3 days before entering the bardo state, a liminal space between death and rebirth. And in ancient Egypt, texts describe the ka, or spirit, wandering for several days before facing judgment and joining the eternal afterlife. The repetition of this number is striking. It suggests that across time and tradition, humanity has sensed a hidden rhythm to the soul's departure. 3 days is not random. It is a cycle of closure, reflection, and preparation. It is the time needed for the soul to loosen its grip on the earthly world and to accept the path ahead. This truth also explains why funerals and rituals are so often held within 3 days of death. These ceremonies are not only a way for the living to grieve, they serve as spiritual guidance for the departed. The prayers, chants, and offerings act as a bridge, sending energy, love, and light to the soul as it crosses the threshold. The family's mourning is not only an expression of loss, it is a sacred act of support, helping the spirit find peace. When people light candles, chant mantras, or recite scriptures within this period, they are in harmony with an ancient understanding of the soul's 3-day journey. But perhaps the deepest hidden truth is this. The soul's 3 days after death remind us that existence does not end when the body ceases. Instead, there is a graceful transition, a liminal space where love, memory, and spiritual guidance weave together to carry the soul forward. For the first day, love holds the soul close to family. On the second, memory brings reflection and understanding. On the third, spiritual guides lead the way toward a new horizon. This 3-day cycle is both universal and deeply personal, a reminder that death is not a sudden cut, but a passage with meaning and purpose. When the third day passes, the soul steps into the next realm. Some traditions call it heaven, others speak of rebirth, and some describe it as merging with the infinite. Regardless of the name, the message is the same. The journey continues. Death is not an end, but a transformation, and the 3 days after passing are the soul's sacred bridge from one chapter of existence to the next. This is the hidden truth, a truth whispered across centuries, carried in rituals, and reflected in countless experiences. The soul is eternal, And its 3-day journey reminds us that love and consciousness never truly die. So, as we've explored, death is not the end. It is only the beginning of another journey. The soul does not vanish into nothingness the moment the body grows still. Instead, it moves gently, step by step, through a sacred 3-day passage filled with love, reflection, and preparation. It stays close to family, revisits the life it lived, and then, with the help of guides and ancestors, takes its first steps into the eternal. Knowing this, we can find comfort in the truth that our loved ones are never really gone. Their presence lingers, their love surrounds us, and their soul continues forward on a path greater than we can see. If you've ever felt a strange warmth in the room after someone's passing, dreamed of a loved one shortly after their death, or sensed a presence that reassured you in moments of grief, you may have experienced part of this mystery. These are not coincidences. They are gentle reminders that the bond of love does not break with death, and that the soul often reaches out in those early days to say, "I am still here." I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt the presence of someone who passed away? Maybe a dream, a sign, or an unexplainable moment of peace that made you feel they were near. Share your story in the comments below. Not only does it help keep their memory alive, but it may bring comfort to others who are walking through grief. Your words might be the sign someone else needs to hear. If this video brought you comfort, opened your heart, or gave you a new perspective on life and death, I invite you to join this community. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need reassurance today, and subscribe for more spiritual insights and hidden truths about the soul's journey. Together, we'll continue exploring the mysteries that connect us all, life, death, and everything in between. Remember, death is not a goodbye. It is simply a step forward into a new chapter, a reminder that love is eternal and that the soul's journey never truly ends.